So they have ospreys. Okay. Bikinis, they're kind of crazy.
That's a hot seat right there.
Leave the good seat for that.
You feeling sorry for that?
All right, budget committee called to order, April the 9th. First up, we have the health department. Yeah, while she's coming up, just to remind everyone that we are potentially looking at a lawsuit from the Signature and the building component of that. And the judge has found that we are deficient. And so therefore, currently there is scheduled a lawsuit in the county in August. And it is to determine how much money the county will have to pay. And that could be anywhere from, they say they've been harmed 1.2 plus interest for 10 plus years. So needless to say, not many items that we're going to approve for any increases in the budget. With that being said and done, and
We actually met with,
yeah,
we actually met with the lawyers this afternoon. And, we're gonna be filing an appeal with the courts for, we're gonna ask the courts for an appeal.
okay. We can hope. All right. Okay,
So hopefully I'm in good shape because I'm not asking for any increases.
we like those.
So my budget is the same as it was last year I did make some minor, I added 200 to communication, but I took 200 off of other charges to balance it. So, as far as the yearly budget, that's it. The 116,400 will carry over, for the, health center renovations.
Right.
We met with Seth today and he said in a couple months they'll have plans ready for that. And then the med room renovation is 154,000. That's completely funded by the state. And Mr. Whitaker is going to get started on that renovation Saturday.
Okay. What all does that include?
They're going to tear out a wall and expand so Ginger can put all the medications and all the vaccines in the same room because they have to be humidity and temperature controlled. And we want it all in the same area. Because we have to have a split unit, a generator that will service that room if the power were to go out.
Okay.
So we don't lose our vaccine.
Okay. Anything else?
That's it.
Any questions? A minute, and that's it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, the election. Yes, Annette.
I want to go ahead and give you, take one and pass it around, please. This sort of report on this year's budget, how much money will be returned to the county out of my budget from this past year.
We always like that.
Well, 72,000, that's pretty good.
We appreciate that.
But this one will not be as friendly, unfortunately. We got 2 elections on this budget. So you can't compare last year's budget to this one because of the 2 elections versus 1.
Right. This is like the every other year.
Every other year, well, actually, so next year there'll be no election, so it'll be a lot better. Like I said, if you have any questions about this is just, if you look at the reimbursements, you've got $72,346 coming back to you from grants, supplements, and reimbursements. I estimate with projections, I'll still have about $16,600 left over in my budget this year. So I'll also return that, of course. So really, out of the 191,000 spent, only 102 was actually the county burden. So just to let you know, I always try to do that. If you got any questions, but I just wanted, nobody ever asked how your budget goes, so I just wanted to let you report to you. I try to do that.
Appreciate
Pretty
that.
good savings there.
Yes, well, this year, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, next year, we'll only get my salary supplement and, how much ever the, property rights that the city of Erin will have to reimburse. They pay for that part, which is not that much.
And for those of you that haven't been on the budget committee before, this is standard. It's, what I call it is the every other year big collection dollars, and then you go with a lesser amount, and then you're back to the big one. It's hard to look at from a budget perspective from the county because you can't.
Well, it's like every 3 years
Every 3
because
years, yeah.
we'll have one budget, one election, then we'll have no elections. And then we'll have one election and 2 elections. So it's like every 3rd year.
Yeah.
So you have to go back and look at other elections. But I try my very best to explain to you if every dollar that I spend in this little information thing that I give you, so you can see exactly what I'm spending money on. And I try very hard every chance I get to, if I can see a place to cut a corner without, legally, of course. Tennessee, for the 2nd year in a row, is #1 in election integrity in the country. So that is something that we work very hard to do. I did not increase anybody's pay because I was aware of your situations. There's no changes in the election workers' pay, but I do itemize here what we actually have to spend for each election. We're going back. I haven't been spending the in-service training, but we are going back to in-person training now. And that's where you get the money back for my salary. As long as I continue to do that, you'll continue to get that money. Line items 201, 210, and 212, of course, I just estimated. That's based on the salaries. So that will be something that I'm sure you will adjust. Election fees in 317, the data processing services, I break down how much licenses cost, how much election fees are. And of course, election fees are only when there's elections. Those are always removed when there's not. There was a 5% increase in everything. As far as elections, it's going to go up. Ads, there's 4 ads per election. And those are figured by column width, by length, by times $12. And if it's a full page ad, it's around $1,500 per ad. And we're required by law to publish that twice. Now on 347, I know that the mayor's office is looking to try to hopefully take pest control to kind of get a group contract for the county.
Right.
So that can be whatever, if we can get that contract. I put it in the budget until they get a group contract, or hopefully we can get that $64 a month down.
Are we just asking for bids for a broad or?
We haven't had time yet. It's something that we're looking at next fiscal year, though. I feel like we're overpaying. It seems like every department has a different vendor who they're using, different schedule, different rates. So our goal is to compile them all, see what we're paying, and then bid it out.
Great. Should reduce some of that.
I hope so. And again, if they get a better deal, then I just will leave it in there. I don't spend it.
Let me ask a question.
Yes, sir.
This is to Rachel. Once we do that, then do we want to move the pest control, since they're county buildings, into the county buildings?
We could, depending on what the rate is. I kind of like it actually out to each department because we see what the actual whole department spends. So if we have to move over to another building, or we have to consolidate, it will change the rate. So either or.
Well, may I say, because prior to me getting this, the county was kind of paying and they weren't showing up and we were still paying. But then I began to mark down and record when they became, and I said, I'm not paying you if you don't come. And they were not coming. So that's another good way to keep it, to make sure they actually come to your department.
You're right.
So, I don't mind, even if they bill it to straight to the county, as long as I can make sure that they came to my building.
Yeah, I'm sure that would be something to be worked out, and here's the dates they're coming, and, okay.
And then, of course, we rent a U-Haul to move our election equipment until something better comes along. I'm not as young as I used to. I cannot do it by myself anymore. Data processing supplies, I didn't go up a lot on those because I have a little bit of money, so I went ahead and I'm gonna order some of my ballot stock now. But the thing about it is ballot stock, we have to be careful of getting too much because there's a special mark now the state legislature requires on all ballots. And so we can't use it from election to election. But I did, with the grant money, purchase a ballot printer that will do it in color. So I'm hoping to actually cut down on our ballot costs because I still print our ballots for us,
Okay.
which is a significant savings. And then, my 499 is my catch-all because all of that depends on voter turnout, if, something happens, the things that I can't plan for. And again, I just put it the same as it was when the last two elections. And then I did not put any equipment in. It's never good to buy equipment during the middle of an election cycle. And just a few notes down there for you. I think we need to probably get our maintenance guy to look at the gutters because they're pouring water. It's kind of high there though, so I would be concerned. And the siding from the wind damage last year, it's going to begin to rot. It's going to rot that fascia and decking if we don't get that fixed pretty soon from the wind damage, which insurance should have paid for that. Is that correct?
I believe so, yeah. Look back into that.
Yeah, because that's not been replaced and it's going to rot because it's on the west side. It's where all our weather comes from. And that's going to be a bigger problem if we don't pay some attention to that. And I just want to remind you that they're working sufficiently now and we're going to keep tying it together. But the HVAC system there's two systems. They are very old. And the last time that I did have them repaired, they said, these are really old. So, but I'll keep doing it as long as I can. But I believe for prudence sake, you should probably start planning for when they do go out.
Yeah, we're having to do two buildings, the library and the VA place.
Well, even if just maybe a little bit of the money left over from my budget from year to year, if you just put aside for that, that might be good. I mean, it's fine right now. But again, if the election's happening,
How old are they?
they've been there a lot longer than I have. I'd say probably getting close to 15.
How long have they been over there? They've been over there about 15, 17,
And that's the same
a
units.
while, I think.
Yeah, 15. I think they're around 15 is what they told me.
Because you were in the basement and then they moved over there.
I can get someone to, because there's numbers on the side that tell what year. And I know my husband knows how to do it, but we can look on those numbers and get the year of the
They
unit.
got 2 units.
2 units, yeah. It was 2 separate buildings.
Okay.
And you're turning back how much money?
I'm estimating about 16,006. Again, I would just say if you could put it aside for something like that. They're fine right now. I don't think they need to be replaced at the moment. But these are things, and look, you're getting 72,000 back too.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, is that we might want to hang on to that money and earmark it and say that this is for future replacement. That way, if one dies, they both die, then
You've got the money
we
to
got the money. We don't have to go looking for it.
worry about it.
You don't know how big they are, do you?
No, sir, I don't, but I can find out all
It
anything
can't be
you
that
need.
big,
I wouldn't think so.
Now, with 2 units on it,
probably 2 to
That
3 at
16
the
might
most.
almost take care of. Unless they're gonna-
I think the 16 would probably more than do it.
And the gutters, they're loose or
I
they're,
think they're just maybe clogged or something. I'm not really sure. But at the corner there, it's just pouring water every time it rains, which is a dangerous thing because if it's colder weather, there was a lot of ice there. I mean, I fell, but whatever. I got up. But I'm just saying, I think you've got issues there with potential lawsuits if the weather's cold or if it is slick or whatever. Even though those are not your sidewalks, it's still right there.
Yeah, but it's.
Because we know it's the gutter.
Hey, Keith's a little-
We can get them. looked
They could
at.
just be loose. I just can't get up there. I'm just not gonna get on
You're
ladders
not
any
supposed
longer.
to.
Well, I mean, I clean the windows. I mean, that's why you have the maintenance, and I really believe that that could be fixed by him if he's careful.
Okay, and so the two things we want is we want Heath to come over and check that out and make sure that the gutters are clean and functioning right. And then the money she's turning back, we want to earmark for future,
Like in the capital project.
I mean, it may be more than that.
Exactly.
So I'm just saying, this was projected, so I'm just saying that.
well, Rachel has
Yeah.
worked it out. We're gonna have a title called capital projects, so we'll put that 16,000 in there as in, so that way we got money for it.
Well, I just wanted to bring those to your attention. I don't like,
Well, it's better than.
I don't like to wait till the last minute.
Have there, so,
something happen, you know.
right,
I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Because the last time it was repaired, they told me, "Whew, that unit's getting really old."
okay.
So, and that's really all I have if you don't have any questions. I know it's not as friendly a budget as in the past, but I mean, I'm never gonna spend more than I need. I try always to,
You do well. You
Try
have
always
every
to
year
push
that
it
I've
back.
done this, so. All right.
I have one question in that,
yes, sir.
and I don't expect you to know it off the top of your head. I don't even expect you to do it until after your elections are finished. But how much money would we, as a county, save if we went from 7 districts to 4? That's the ultimate question I have.
Well, I mean, I would have to figure it out. You would save in election officials, the licensing fees, because we didn't go to 4 prior, okay?
Mhm.
That meant we had no spares or backups. So when the state called and said, Annette, what do you need that we can buy? I said, we need spares. I mean, because there's no excuse to have an election machine down and not have a spare. So because the state did purchase these machines, we can, if necessary, transfer them to another county and get out from under some of these licensing fees, which you see are pretty large. We're paying that 18 or 15,000 for licenses a year.
Yeah.
What I think you would see is year over year, you'd be saving.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that wouldn't be a one-time savings. That would be every year you would save because of the fewer personnel needed. Wouldn't need as many supplies.
Would that hit you every year?
Every year you would have that savings every year.
You're not gonna have election in the odd years, though, is that correct?
No, we don't have election. Like next year we won't have an election.
His question's about the elections.
Well,
Well, no, he said after the
I
election,
said, you know, I realize how busy she is.
but I
leading up
really,
to them.
I really drop my budget though, when
Yeah.
there's not an election, you know, I take $20,000, $30,000 out of the budget.
Yeah.
But you'd still save in the fees because those fees come even when there's not an election.
Yeah.
The maintenance and license, that's every year.
Right.
Again, though, you're talking about a lot of savings in supplies.
Right.
The 22 ballots is what's killing us. Because we have so many districts and the way the lines run through, we have 22 different ballot styles. And then you multiply that times 3, Republican, Democrat, general, that's 66 different ballots potential. And that's why I print our ballots, because I have the, past printing experience to be able to do that. So what happens is when I am no longer here, if someone doesn't have that, of course, I've got them set up to where they would be able to transfer over to be able to print ballots,
Right.
but they'd have to buy the software. That would really reduce it because I have one district that only has one person needs that ballot. But it has to be programmed for that ballot. So that would eliminate probably over half our ballots.
Okay.
So you're saving on ballots, you're saving on supplies, workers, and machine fees. So again,
Well, like I said,
I can't give you a figure.
yeah, I knew you couldn't.
Okay.
I started to send,
But I
thought I
could.
said, you can't answer that now, and I don't expect one before the, your.
But if you ever decided to do that, you could.
Yeah.
And it would be a long-term benefit to you.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
anybody else?
Question. What is your line item 193? What is the, it just has election.
193 election workers.
That's your workers.
That's the workers, yeah, and I gave you an itemized list of it. No, that's okay.
Time to read it yet.
That's fine. This tells you how many people I have to have at each election.
Okay, thank you.
Now, again, if, like this last election, there were not over 100 ballots, so I didn't need the absentee county board. So that's minus 400. We didn't have to have the audit board, so that's another minus 400. So this is just
Thank you.
worst case scenario.
I made a note to reference that. Thank
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This tells them, it tells how much I paid them. Okay. And the part-time clerk comes out of here too. For elections only.
Any other questions?
And you're welcome to come by anytime.
You're talking about all the number of things. I was just thinking, if you don't change the number of districts,
Mhm.
should we look at the districts like this one where you got that one person? If that person were moved into another district,
You'd have to change the district lines.
yeah, to some extent, yeah, like for him or something. But I mean, you wouldn't change it if there's, 25, 40 that's overlapping. But if you just had one with one or two,
Mhm.
then it might be worth looking at if it would benefit you that much.
Well, it wouldn't, it's not a big deal to me. It's a benefit because,
Well, I'm talking cost
yeah,
wise.
cost wise, I've got one ballot. But as long as I'm printing the ballots, it's not a devastation to you.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I have one that's got 1 in it, 4, and 7, and 9, yeah. It's because of the way the lines are drawn.
Or that most of it.
But they redrew the lines a couple years back, didn't they?
They're dark.
But I bet that was never taken into consideration.
Oh, it was, but we couldn't do anything about it because you can't
Is it
split a
mostly from
census
Aaron?
block.
It's
No.
basically,
No, Aaron's great. Aaron's perfect.
is all 10 Ridge in?
It's a little of both, yeah.
Okay.
The thing about it is you can't split a census block. So that's why we use rows or,
Okay.
things like that. So it's not as easy, it's not an easy fix. But if you were to go to 4, we can incorporate all of those and then get those little nicks and cuts. It's just,
How does that impact your commissioners then? You reduce the number of commissioners?
yeah, well, that would be up to you. If you went to 4, you can have a maximum of 3 in each district. So it would reduce the county commission by 2.
About 12, some 14.
Yeah, you'd have 12 instead of 14. Maximum. You could have 1 to 3. Maximum 3, no less than 1. That's to your county.
How would we go about doing that at this point?
Well, according to the comptroller's office and their rules, it would have to be a triggering event. And a triggering event could be a population boom, a population reduction, or you want to reduce the number of commissioners.
Well, I mean, we know that since the 2020 census that we're being told now that we're up 200 plus people within the county that were not here before.
But you still have to use the 2020 numbers.
Right, you have to use those then, okay.
They may rearrange your blocks a little bit, but you'll still use the 2020 numbers.
You can use reducing commissioners.
Reduction of commissioners would be a triggering event. Again, I would say do it right before the election to go whenever the county election comes back around. The best time to do it would be then before that, where you could get and have it take effect for that election, like that.
We might reduce 1 out of 4.
I'm just saying, you could still draw the lines anyway that worked.
Okay. All right, thank
We're
you.
good? Okay, all right.
Appreciate it.
Mhm.
Thank you.
911. How's Miss Holly today?
I'm all right, how are you?
Okay, starting right off the top, I wish we were doing the 3% pay raise.
Yeah, I
but that's
wasn't
not
aware, I can
happening.
take that out, I was not aware of the situation, so that's,
I'll just take that out.
Holly and I worked on this budget together, so you'll excuse me if I butt in at times. So, but one thing that, and you did keep the raise for the dispatchers in there, okay. I wanted to explain to all the commissioners that the line 148, the radio operators, is that when we did this, we went to a $14 an hour rate for the dispatchers. And I believe Stewart County has now gone to 16.
There's 16 right now, and I'm not sure what they're gonna do for
Right.
their next budget year.
So, well, I think they went from 15 to 16, and that's what they're proposing.
Well, they're at 16 now.
Okay. and
They're
talking-
currently at 16, and I'm sure they'll probably increase again.
Okay, well, what we did is when we met and we sat down and went through this, is that we felt that the income coming into 911 at this point will allow us to do 14, which will help with the hiring and retaining of the operators in there. Are you at full staff now?
Still
one
going
down?
short.
Okay, and so it's a problem trying to keep it, but
Yes.
you know, like everything else, you're not gonna get somebody for $11, $12 an hour. And so we're trying to do it. So when you look at this budget and you look at the dispatchers, the radio operators in there, that is funded by 911. That is not a county funding issue. So, and then from there, at this point, I'll give it to Holly and
And then I did add in a $2,000 training for our director's training. That would be a one-time thing. That would be for myself so that I can go and become a certified director. It is a class that has been recommended to me by every director that I've talked to, everybody in the surrounding county. But it's a one-time thing. That would not be a recurring fee every year. It would be a one-time thing, and then I would have the certification. So that was added in. And then, of course, we just got our payroll taxes, and that will decrease a little bit, not much, but with me going back to my original salary for this year. And then going down to the equipment, that $35,000, that's for the uninterrupted power supply that we're needing. And we are trying to come up with some grants and some different things to pay for that. So we're hoping that the county doesn't have to pay for that.
yeah, let me kick in with that one too. This is our estimate of 35,000. It could be as much as 50 though in there. And in that, it is up to the county to maintain the power and the uninterrupted power supply that is in there. And so grants are one of the ways that we can do it. This is not something that it's in the budget, but that's if we find a way to come up and fund it. So it's not really for the county at this point to say, here's 35,000. It's we're trying our best to find another way to do it.
Yeah, and we're in current talks with different ones. I think it was TVA that came to us and was asking about trying to ways they could help us, and I gave them a list of things we really need. This was one of the things being on that list. So we've not heard back from them yet, but there's still avenues for us to explore to try to get that taken care of at no cost to us or at very little, hopefully.
They're still asking GMRC.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, so we're trying to get that taken care of, but this is something that's detrimental to our equipment and us running. And with last night's storms, this thing is at its life expectancy. It's past that, and it would need about the cost of buying a new one just to repair the one we have and get it up to, I don't know how much longer life we can give it. You know, just to replace batteries in it is like about $25,000. So you're just cheaper to buy.
Right, and
No
on the
one is
batteries, 911, we're talking and trying to put together where that we will replace the batteries on a regular cycle. And so that will help in the future too with the cost for that.
Yeah, I'm trying to get all of our equipment on a rotating where we're upgrading when we need to, where we're not just down to, where we know where we need to rotate things out, where we're not just down to the wire where it tore up and now we have no choice but to replace it. We don't need to be in that position
And that's where we've been. We need to get away from that.
You do have a maintenance supply checking periodically or rotation, right?
Not on the uninterrupted power supply. I do not know who installed that, where it was purchased. I have no information on that whatsoever on that. Now, as far as our generators, those kind of things,
Yeah, that-
we do
that's what
that.
I'm
Yes,
talking about.
yes, the generators, yes, sir, we sure do.
Okay.
Yes. Mhm. And then everything else is pretty much the same. There is a little bit of a increase in our, like, disposal fees. But that was due to, there was some confusion with who was gonna pay for the trash there, between like EMA and fire and all that kind of stuff. So there was some confusion there for the budget that we're currently in. But I've included in for like trash pickup. And what I budgeted for on that was just for us not having that big dumpster there anymore and just having like a small monthly trash pickup instead of us having that huge dumpster. Because if it's just us and the fire department up there, we don't need that. Unless, now if the EMS is still gonna be in that building, we might, all three of us together, but just us, we don't generate enough trash to have the huge dumpster. It's just not necessary. And then I did increase our gas line item just a little bit because I'm afraid that there's not enough in it. I think we're gonna run a little short if we have a real cold winter like we did this winter. Our gas bill was pretty high. So, but in the summertime, it's only like $15. But I know we had about $170 gas bill in, I think, January. And then our water bill increased a little bit, and other than that,
Is there a typo?
The hourly rate.
$4,800 versus $47,000 for salary on the top line.
Yeah, it's a typo.
yes.
It was, so prior year, Ms. Reed, it was put in the deputy line item. So if you add the deputy line item plus the supervisor, that's her current rate.
Okay.
So 105 and 106, we'll roll that over for this next year's 105.
45,760.
Okay, so
It
they're
is,
combined.
yeah.
All right, thank
So
you.
I'm looking at a different paper, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine. I just didn't know to combine those. Thank you very
How much
much.
are dispatchers paid now?
They're $12.50 now.
Do you think the 14 is gonna help you?
I think it would, because I'm not, right now, I'm not even been able to get anybody in. And when I do, I get them in, I get them trained, spend that money for training them. They're with me maybe 6 months, and then they're gone somewhere else. We're just not retaining.
Did you do that job fair the other day?
I did, I got one application.
I didn't know if there was a way maybe for some of these positions that we could, have like participate in the high school job fair. Don't they have like a college career day? I don't know if they still do that or not, but,
Yeah.
maybe we can cycle, some of the ones that maybe are not college bound or alternative careers, maybe we can pull them into county employees if we can work with them.
We kind of get more from putting it like on social media.
Okay.
We get a little more attention that way, and we try to, keep it out there, but everybody knows they can go somewhere else and make, $16, $18, $20 an hour. It's kind of hard to get
Will they
somebody.
work 8-hour shifts?
Ours are working 12. They do a rotating schedule where they have off every other weekend, and they seem to be a little happier with that. And that allows us to be able to have 8 full-time dispatchers instead of having to have 9 full-time dispatchers. If we do the 8-hour shifts, then we have to have a total of 9 employees.
Okay.
But if we do the 12-hour shifts, we can have 8 because with because we have to do, we're supposed to have 2 on, the state tells us we're supposed to have 2 on, if at all possible, at all times, because we do telephone CPR instructions, if that needs to be the case on emergency medical calls. And once they take one of those calls, they cannot, like if they're having to give somebody CPR instructions, they cannot disconnect that call until help arrives. So that ties up one dispatcher with that one call.
a couple other quick notes about this too. Is Stephanie has also worked with Holly quite a bit to get the all of the information together and the billing and everything in order, so we're able to track the expenses much better than had been done in the past. Also, once you take the 283,000 out from there, the city of Tennessee Ridge and the city of Vera, Tennessee Ridge will be, I think it's 8% there, and the city of Vera pays 16%. So when we get through and it comes down, the county's portion of this is, I think last year was, what, about 70,000?
I think so. Yeah, this year I've got it figured at 110,000, but that's including the 35,000.
Right.
So that might not even come into play if we can get that paid for.
And one other, two other things really. One is that, of course, we know that 911 prior years was difficult to say the least. And so that 911 was able to pay ahead the additional 85,000. So that paid off that $170,000 item that we had. And now when we go into this year, they'll be paying the county 29,000 and some odd dollars.
400 and something, I
Something
think.
like that. So every year for 10 years to pay off the other tower. And so that money will be coming back to the county as well. So Stephanie has done a great job with Holly getting this stuff together. So 911 appears to be on solid ground.
We're doing better.
We're doing much
We're
better.
doing much better.
And a lot of it is related and thankful to Holly right here herself. So
We're a little, I had included, did they have a copy of our 911 budget as well?
Yeah, just
Okay.
take-
Well, now I have a copy of that if anybody wants to look at that. I've got an extra copy.
if you will give it to Rachel and let her just give it to us next.
Yeah, this
next
is our 911, like the board's
Okay,
budget. That's what we've got so far. It does show that we're about $7,700 short this year, but we're trying to work on, last year we were, how short, like something around 80,
Something.
yeah, 100 something $1,000 short. So we're hopefully able to stand on our own 2 feet this year.
Equipment other than the problem child you've got right there is on your equipment, pretty good shape now.
Well, no, it's not, but that would be the board, it will come out of the board's budget.
Yeah, here's what we've done. We were fortunate in which that EMA had a grant. And as part of the grant, I think they had $8,900 in that area. And they couldn't spend it on something else at the moment.
The website
But,
server.
Yeah, and discussing it with the state said, you mean, you got systems that are still running on Microsoft 7, which is not supported. It's open to data breaches, et cetera. And so they allowed EMA to buy her 2 complete units to replace the oldest in there. The oldest in there, they're all over 10 years old. And so we've got to bring the others, and we're working on a plan in there that every year we'll replace and buy 2 new units in there. So,
And I just found out today that you all both know that the cybersecurity reimbursement that I sent to the state, I received that this afternoon. So that's $3,400, and we can buy another computer with that and try to turn that back in for cybersecurity reimbursement. So we got that money that was
so we just got to
unexpected.
approve that next week.
So, yes, so that was a nice thing that come through today. So we're trying to get there.
We are getting there.
I'm trying to get there.
Any questions for 911? Holly, thank you, and thank you for everything you've done in the last year. It's,
I couldn't have done it without help.
well,
Great job.
you've proven to be a good leader and manager, so we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Y'all done a good job, haven't
We just provided a little oversight. Holly did the work.
Yeah.
Oh, one thing, Holly, and this came up last week, and that was like the, where we go out and we get bids for the generator, et cetera. Have you talked to Rachel about that?
We
Not-
started to, not really.
Yeah, I haven't.
Okay,
Yeah.
what we need is that when we get those bids, and we got we have the one from Waverly and Dixon and Paris, and Paris is cheapest where we're going, but she needs a copy of all of those.
You need all, okay, I've got them, I've got them.
Yeah, so that way she can document it, and then the audit is fully covered, so.
Okay, no problem. And if you'll get with me tomorrow, I'll go.
Okay.
I know.
I lied to you, Chancery Court. Took a little longer than a minute. All right, Betsy.
Well, here comes Patsy.
How are you, Mr. Gray?
How are you, ma'am?
I'm good. You're about the honorest county mayor in the whole district, you know that, right?
Thank you.
Well, it's
I got
getting
one
worse.
award.
Okay,
So, Mr. Howard, I understand that, no increases,
no,
so take that out of my budget that I asked for. But I would like to keep, on my part-time help, I just feel like I'm gonna have to have some extra girls the week that we have the jury trial about, the hospital lawsuit that I guess all of you are aware of.
yeah,
It's supposed to last a week, and it's set for August the 27th to start.
26.
26?
Patsy for you, she's always a day late.
Pardon?
26.
I'll go get my doc and verify that, but I'll
Okay.
take his word for it for now.
I've heard 26 for 100 times.
okay, so in
He is
your
a
budget
numbers man,
really,
isn't he?
your salary is the one that's mandated by the state. So that's there, and so you're asking for 16, 17, about 1,600, a little over $1,600 for the part-time personnel for the trial.
If you take out the 5% and just give me an additional 1,000 on the part-time, it would be 17,420 instead of 18, which is what I asked for.
Okay. Well, we don't have a choice in that.
And of course, Donna's gonna have to ask for extra money for the jury because of my case, because we're gonna use her jury.
Okay. Well, let's see if we can't cut her somewhere else with money.
So
I'm
give it
kidding,
to her.
just kidding. Okay.
And maybe it won't happen.
Are you gonna have to have, what, 2 people extra?
Pardon?
Are you gonna have to have 2 extra people?
Well, during that trial, we'll have to have 2 in here, and I would like to have 2 in the office.
You gotta have extra help too?
So
Oh. You're just doing the jury.
I think Miss Sharon would come up and help that week, and maybe Miss Terry Bryant, who works part-time now. We'll just see.
Okay.
And, of course, my data process, which is my computer equipment, and went up again, local government a little bit, $900.
Okay. Questions for the committee? Any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Pat.
Have any questions down there? Fred, Carter, y'all ain't got nothing.
No question, no
If you
need.
have any questions, just address them to
There's
Mr.
sleep
Gray.
down there. Sleep.
Overwhelmed. If no questions, Patsy, we thank you.
Thank you. If you have any more questions after this, let me know and I'll come back.
We'll come and see you.
Don't put me behind 911 though, Randall.
It-
He told me it was gonna last 3 hours.
Sit up here and ask them to bring you up first, and they wouldn't do it.
Thank you.
All right, Donna. Donna, I'm assuming that there's got to be a typo in there in the 106,
in the 106.
last year's budget to this year.
Right, well, what we're doing is,
You shifted.
we shifted, we're moving clerical personnel and other salaries, to the same line item, just to
Okay.
kind of clean things up.
All right.
What have
And
you
of
got
course, I know, there's no raises. I'm sorry.
now? We got 3 in there,
Yeah, I do.
full-time,
3 full-time.
okay.
So,
Didn't we approve a part-time last year, half-time?
we went from a part-time to a full-time.
That's right. We
So I have-
converted the gentleman
Mm-hmm.
full-time.
Yeah, so I have 3 full-time and it's working great. They like more money, but that's okay. So, and as Patsy said, the jury, I put in like $2,000 extra in case we have to have the jury trial for chancery.
There
And
will be a jury trial. If it goes that far.
If it goes far,
yeah, so I just figured, the jurors times, 5 days, which
Okay.
that's what they're saying is probably,
Is that because it they'll be sequestered or?
no, they won't be sequestered.
Why? Is it extra fees for?
It's not extra fees. I have my jury, budget and I don't include like chancery court.
Huh.
So this is the first time they've had a jury trial since Patsy's been there. So I'm just doing the jury for her because we do jury trials. I'm just helping her out.
they do them all the time over here on her side.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So
What's the jurors make now?
$11 a day.
You guys need to cut that.
Stop.
Massive amount.
I don't know how we get away with that.
I don't either.
Is that set by the state or
Mhm. It is.
let's don't tell the politicians up there?
You come down and sit all day and then they settle the case and you never even do anything. That's what you're.
But you gotta have them.
The reason they give them $11 is now pretty much every employer pays.
They pay the balance.
Right.
Used to they didn't, everybody didn't pay.
Yeah.
But it was $11.
But I mean, if you got some homemaker that comes down here, they only make $11 and they may have to pay for daycare.
That's true.
So
TVA reimburses them now, don't they?
They do
they
now.
do.
They used to do.
Well, Birch, TVA.
Oh, yeah,
Golly.
State used to have to reimburse them.
but then
No,
Oh, wow. Well, that's not right.
but you take, if you want to keep the check, you had to get annual leave.
take your leave. That's what TVA did back years ago.
Okay. Line item 317, it's just like everything went up. I think local government went up, BIS, RJ Young, and, they're up, they've always got overages, so I added just a little bit in there for that. Dues and membership, clerk fees went up, coat went up. Mine and Patsy's are different because she said she never got anything about the coach, so she's just gonna have to transfer some of her money when that comes up. Legal notices, that's for my grand jury ads, it's stayed the same. Travel, I always put 500 just in case I have to do much traveling to other counties for, court cases, but, I'll have quite a bit to turn back in from this last time. And office supplies, I'll just keep the same. 3,500 seems like a lot, but it's not when you got three courts going through there in the office.
How's your reimbursement coming at this point?
As far as.
You were charging for something.
Yeah, for background checks.
Mhm.
I hadn't checked lately, but I mean, we're still receiving, pretty good sized checks every few days. So, like I said, that was I'm not sure what happened there, but we've got several background check companies that are going through us so we'll take it.
You're also bringing in more money on the trials now too, aren't you? As far as them paying and all.
In general sessions, I
Yeah.
am. I'm not in circuit.
No, it wasn't general sessions yet.
In general sessions, we're doing good. So the circuit court, I mean, those judges are not gonna do the way we do in general sessions because they're they're all busy. They're not gonna take the time to, let us fill up their dockets like general sessions does. So
Okay.
I wish it was better, but
She's got a busy home.
my hands are kind of tied.
They are busy.
Questions for Donna?
Thank you.
Thank you, Donna.
Everybody's
Appreciate
hungry.
it.
Yeah. Thank you all.
And the general assistant judge,
Next year.
on that, the next sheet that you got in your budget thing there, the judge's salary, we have no control over. That's determined by the state for the increase.
I included a copy in there so y'all can reference what the percentage, I think it was like 4.1% increase.
Yeah. Okay. All right, next week, we've got the mayor's budget, the airport, county buildings, county commission, general administration, the mayor's office itself, and tourism, and the convenience center, 116 in that. Okay, that will be the end of the budget review at that point, and then we'll be back on the 30th, so we're skipping the 23rd. And on the 30th, we will be voting at that point. Do we approve of all the items that we have down at this point? Yes, we probably will. And then we'll have to look at the agriculture, the Board of Education, the Highway Department, and any other reviews. And we will vote on those that we approve or disapprove, whatever we need. And at that point, it will go to the commission, the full legislative body for approval. So any questions? In May. We'll need to do it right at the 1st of May on that so that Rachel can get it all in and everything.
We're gonna have to have a June
Right.
meeting this time.
You can go ahead and call.
We may have to still for transfers.
Right,
I think
transfers.
Board of
It's almost
Education and Highway
always.
will. I'm hoping to get ours cleaned up for the most part.
Right.
But
Ask me today.
yeah, well, I still think we maybe early to mid-June meeting, because then once that's approved and everything's transferred, then I can send everything to the state.
Yeah, we want to give you as much time as possible, so we may even want to have the meeting in May, move it up some. Because normally you wouldn't do it on the third Monday, maybe we want to move it up to the second Monday or something, an extra week in there.
Well, if we do, we have to advertise it. We'll have to,
Right,
yeah. Let's look at that tomorrow, if that's okay.
That's
Just to
fine.
make sure, and then I can send y'all an email out. if it's-
all right, take a look and let us know.
Yeah.
On
You have
that.
to cut everybody off on the first.
Ms. Digger's already sent everything out for stopping May, is that correct? First of
Yeah,
May?
we're gonna start POs on May the 1st.
Yeah.
So,
She did that last year.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, let's go home.
Terry, what did they say about the software today?
I'll grab it. Hang on a second.
What, about what now?
Software.